evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome here to Volusia Speedway as we get ready for the start of the spring 2021 season for the TNR Master Millwright Big Block Series. 50 laps of racing await these drivers here tonight in the main event, but we've still got to set the starting grid with the qualifying heats here this evening. As I'm Seth Cole alongside of Matthew Rodriguez. And Matt, I was watching these guys in practice, and these big block modifieds, I think they're improperly named. I think they should have been called the muscle cars, because if you're going to make passes here today, it looks like you're going to have to muscle that other driver out of the way.
I mean, I prefer tricycles with big engines. I mean, we've seen it all throughout practice. That left wheel is just lifted up in the sky. I mean, what kind of passes do you see being made here?
Yeah, I mean, normally a lot of the races that we broadcasted here at Volusia, everybody wants that outside line, it seems, almost right up against the wall. So I think we're going to see typical dirt track racing where everybody's going to try and take the shorter way around the racetrack, at least to start. That's going to be a fight with everybody lined up there on the top side. Only the brave will venture down to the bottom. Now, we probably won't see that here in these heat races, 10 laps apiece for 3 heat races coming up here, in which the top 5 will be advancing into the main event. The other ones will set the rest of the main event through the consolation race. But I think here you're going to see mostly bottom feeders taking the short way around the racetrack here in these heats, trying to get the best starting position possible.
I mean, obviously, but my thought is, hey, this is a feature session. If I'm up front, I've got a good enough gap. Let's start trying some things out. Let's start looking at different lines, seeing what may be better later on in the run as green flag is out.
And we're already looking 3 wide. Don MacArthur, who was actually fastest in qualifying, trying to get to the inside of the pole sitter for this first race, Billy Thornton. And now Jason Freeman's going to take a look on the top side early.
Yeah, look back there at Brent Sweet in the 59. He's really trying that high line. So I'm seeing a little bit of difference in strategies here where some of these drivers maybe are looking more long-term, seeing what they can get out of the high line rather than arcing it down low.
For the moment, Jason Freeman is edging ahead through the center of the corner off, and he actually will clear for the top position there. So I guess that middle line, you're able to get back to the throttle sooner. It translates to straightaway speed, and that's going to now move Billy Thornton back into the clutches for second place with Don MacArthur.
Still looking out the field. I noticed one guy down there, Thornton, you were mentioning him, he was really attacking that wall, so I'm curious if there's actually a much grip down there, if you're just kind of parking your car in the middle of the corner.
And he's going to drop back to third place now, will Billy Thornton, with Jason Freeman out in front here in this first heat race. The heat race is pretty much determined based off of where you qualified, and it doesn't necessarily mean that if you qualify P1 that you're going to start P1 for the first heat race. Don MacArthur was fastest, as I mentioned, back in the qualifying session. He started third here for this heat race, so it's almost kind of like a random draw, if you will. However, for Jason Freeman, out in front here in the first heat race, if he were to close out the deal here in these final 4.5 laps, he actually would be the pole sitter for the main event feature.
Yeah, and right now he's pretty much looking the class of the field. Don MacArthur is really trying to reel him in, but I think MacArthur understands that there's no reason to really push it right now, but also I've got some good distance. Let me experiment. Let me try different lines that he's not running, see if I can possibly catch him in the long run.
5 drivers will lock themselves into the main event in this heat. Right now is Jason Freeman, Don MacArthur, Billy Thornton, Brent Sweet, and Nathan Aldrich that are the top 5 drivers currently, and that's a huge gap. Back to Jeff Cross and Bobby Puckett. Looks like they'll be determining their spots in the starting lineup in the consolation race later on this evening, as next time by going to be 2 laps to go, and Don MacArthur is making some gains.
I think he may be waiting until that last lap to try and set him up. Or hey, I mean, always classic bump and run still in the playbook here.
Right now about maybe 3.5 car lengths back, as he's going to drive it deep again there through 3 and 4. Let's see what the distance between the top 2 coming to the white flag is going to be. Maybe about 2 car lengths. MacArthur might be within striking distance to try and drive it in deep this final lap, make it a photo finish in this first heat.
Man, as long as you get back to the line in first or second, means send it.
He's going to send it, but so too did Freeman, and Freeman's going to hang on. Jason Freeman's going to win the first heat, will subsequently start on the pole for the 50-lap main event. MacArthur, Thornton, Sweet, and Aldrich lock themselves up spots in the main event, as Now we get ready for the second heat, and looks like pole sitter for this one is going to be Brian Rubble in the 4 machine alongside of Brent Black. One thing that we can definitely take away from that first heat race was we had 7 drivers take the green flag. All 7 made it back to the start-finish line without incident.
Yeah, actually is at least much cleaner than we've usually seen in these big block modifieds.
It's like one driver who was supposed to be in this heat actually will not be taking part, and that is Lupe Gonzalez. So 6 drivers will be taking the green in this one. We already mentioned Rubble on the point, Brett Black in second, Bobby Trapper, David Harvey will be third and fourth. David Harvey was actually fastest in practice, we should note. And then Jordan Erickson and Tommy Oleski are going to be the final row for this 6-car heat. Another 10 laps en route for these drivers.
I'm looking at Rebel in that 4 car. I'm actually looking at his iRacing license for dirt, and I'm seeing he's a rookie class. I wonder how much experience he's got in these cars, but I mean, definitely a little bit fast here.
He's got good starting track position here as well. However, we should bear in mind that if we go back to the last heat race we just had, the pole sitter found himself mired back in the 3rd position 3 laps in. So I'm almost wondering if it's not necessarily lucky to be starting on the pole. I almost think you'd want to be starting on the outside of the front row for these heats.
I mean, you got to be thinking it could be also nerves. I mean, again, you're always excited to get a new season going. You're always excited to start off the race, and that pressure is amplified when you're in first. I mean, I've heard drivers talk about, you hear the heart, or you just feel your heart pumping in your throat, and some guys can handle that kind of heat of the moment, but some others can't. So that could always be a factor.
A's truck makes the left-hand turn to pit road, getting ready to go back. Green flag racing, 10 laps here in the second heat. We are three.
Oh, no!
We got a flipper. That is, I believe, David Harvey in the 17, up and over. Caution is going to wave on the first lap, first turn of this heat race.
I don't know what to be more shocked at. The fact that Trapper, man, he just sent it in turn 1 and ended up just stealing away first. Or the fact that David almost, I think he almost got caught in the fence.
I'm not certain that Trapper actually did get the race lead. It's based off of the time of when the caution is thrown. Looks like Brian Rubble was able to actually hang on to the top position. So if that caution had maybe come out another 100 feet out of turn 2, maybe we'd have been seeing Bobby Trapper behind the pace truck as the race leader.
And just looking back at the David Harvey incident, it's kind of one of those textbook deals where it's just chain reaction. 91 of Brett Black just did not get going, or just kind of parked in the corner a little bit. 17 of Harvey just had a lot better of a run than he did, had to check up, and the 22 of Oleski, he just really couldn't check up in time, and unfortunately, David was the unfortunate recipient of that.
The good news, I think, if there is any good news for David Harvey, is the fact that that car came back down on all 4 wheels instead of having to call a tow and losing valuable time that way.
And you got to think, you can, obviously, right now, it looks like Lupe Gonzalez pulled off the track, but right now there's 6 cars in the field. That means at least 5 of these cars will make it into the feature without having to go through the consolation race. So, I mean, RV's thinking here, hey, if one of these cars falls out, or hey, if my car isn't as damaged as I think it is, I mean, I can still fight for one of these spots.
I didn't see any engine smoke out of that 17 after he flipped back over. A lot of times you end up seeing a flip and you see that engine is toast, so Harvey may still be up to speed. Another thing, too, if you consider the fact that this is a half-mile dirt track, don't necessarily have to have speed as long as your race car is really good in the corners. So Harvey might be all right, and he's still got 9 laps to work with.
And you see Trapper there back to the bottom, but it looks like Brian Rubble was a little bit better prepared that time for him.
Yeah, you notice that he left the door open for Bobby Trapper, but what Brian Rubble did was took the outside line, probably was very observant of that first heat. Oh, we got a car that got the inside wall. I think that might have been Jordan Erickson. His car popped up into the air as his left front caught the pit wall.
Looks like Erickson also got a little bit of damage from Harvey back there. It looks like he lost control just a little bit, popped into the side. Everyone's still green. Everyone's still going. And
right now we got a 3-way battle for the race lead. Bobby Trapper is going to clear for the top spot. Top side is Brian Rubel, and then you got the 91 of Brent Black. He's made a couple of looks up the middle trying to shoot the gap. Now he'll actually battle with Rubel for second place as Trapper gets clear for the race lead.
I mean, you got to look at these guys. Obviously, blocking one of these cars, at least on a more dominant lane, is difficult, but now you've got two cars behind you, both one running your lane and the other trying a different lane. I mean, what kind of difficulties, what kind of challenges does that create for a leader?
I would certainly think that it would create a bit of difficulty in the fact that you're not sure which lane's coming. Now that they've gotten single file, your job's a little bit easier. And I think, too, especially here in these heats, since it's only 10 laps and only 10 circuits around, you don't even worry about second place at this point in time. If you've got this kind of a gap, you're just considering the line that you want to run, force them to do something different.
Well, apparently Brent Black and Brian Rubel did not get the memo because it looks like they're at least battling a little bit for second place here.
They still are. Brent Black got a little bit loose there, but that's actually that's normal for these late models for sure. And oh, look at this. Maybe a little bump and run here at Volusia.
I mean, best to try what you can do right now. I mean, hey, it's better to use this session as almost a test where, hey, we're going to try this in race, and unfortunately it launches the car to the moon. I mean, hey, we at least know this.
We were going to follow the battle for the transfer spot, the final transfer spot here in this heat, and here it is, about 2 car length separation from Ericsson, who gets the wall back to David Harvey. So these two still mixing it up as Harvey slides it way up wide and handsome there through 1 and 2. This may be the best battle to watch coming back to this checkered flag as Bobby Trapper right now 0.8 of a second over second place Brent Black with 1 lap to go.
Yeah, right now it looks like Harvey definitely has, or at least has a little bit of speed lost on the straightaways. But right now, corners, looks like Harvey's better than Ericsson in the 88.
He's within striking distance. Is he going to drive it in deep? He's going to send it. Tries to get alongside of the 88. Oh, can't quite get back to the throttle, though. Ericsson's going to hang on. He'll transfer into the main event, finishing 5th behind Orleski, Rubel, Black, and our race winner. And I forgot who the race winner was.
It was Trapper, my man.
Yes, of course. 4 out of the top 5 ain't bad, I guess. So next heat gets ready here with Joe Garcia lining up on point. Chris McCauley will be to his outside. It will be 7 drivers in this heat. Kenneth Drake, Chris Sweat, Tony Lucarelli, James Gutta, and Garrett Gleason going to be the completion of this one. And of course, the same thing applies here. Top 5 will transfer in. Now, the last heat, when Trapper won, that means he will start on the outside of the front row or the main event. This heat is going to determine who's going to be starting 3rd, 2nd on the inside row when we get to the 50-lap feature.
Absolutely. I'm just looking through the field here. Definitely some interesting... There's 2 guys that I've really got my eye on. It has to be Garcia and Drake here. Both of those are over about 2.4, 2.5K I rating, which is a bit notable because, just looking throughout the rest of the field, you've kind of got the varying degrees from about 1,000 I rating all the way to the 4K of Trapper.
I think it is too. A lot of times when we talk to drivers, they say that these big block late model fights, they actually are easier to drive than a lot of other vehicles out there on the dirt track circuit. And so, considering, as you said, those drivers with the higher I rating, might be a little bit easier for them to maneuver their way up to the front. So we'll see if Drake in that 71 can get clear and actually have a little bit of battle here with Joe Garcia. But there's 5 other drivers in this heat that want to win as well. 58 of McCauley got himself a pretty decent jump there. I thought he was going to stay alongside of Joe Garcia.
Oh, car around!
That's Lucarelli. Caution's going to come out here. 2nd straight heat where a caution comes out in the first corner, first lap, and Lucarelli, recipient of this one.
It looks like really just I think he got a bit excited and he saw everyone digging deep and he just wanted to dig a little bit deeper, but unfortunately the Armco barrier was there to greet him.
Looking to the inside of Kenneth Drake, and just ran way too low. That left front catching the concrete barrier and spinning him around. That happens as well, though, for a driver. You see a hole, you want to go for it.
I mean, I've done it before, and it's kind of that mentality of, whatever you can do, I can do better. And Unfortunately, the wall is there to remind you that you can only dig so deep.
Well, here's the thing. We got to remind everybody, too. 5 drivers are transferring in through this heat. That doesn't mean that the driver that finishes 6th and 7th, that they're not racing the main event. All drivers are going to be taking part in the 50-lap feature later on tonight. These heats are basically just to determine where they're going to be in the starting lineup. So with that in the back of your mind, too, you're going to be more than willing to take a couple of risks here in this heat race.
Yeah, you got to remember. I mean, here's the thing. Dirt races, they can range from extremely clean to, hey, cautions do pop up quite prevalently. So it's really best off trying to get yourself a good starting position. So even in the event this does go green all the way, I mean, there's no pit strategy to bail you out. There's nothing that will really save you. So the closer you're up to the front of the pack, the better shot that you have to win the race.
Well, with it being a short track, doesn't take long for the pacing laps under caution to occur. We're going to be going back green flag racing here. 9 laps remaining here in this heat. As you'll notice, caution laps are not counting here in these heats, nor will they count in the 50-lap feature. We will have to run 50 green flag laps. And wow! Garcia didn't even wait. I don't think the pace truck was even on pit road yet before he went.
Well, I mean, the rule states they can go on pace car after the initial start. So I think Garcia took that one literally, and he went.
He definitely did, but Kenneth Drake actually stuck with him, as well as James Gutta in the 5. They're your top 3 with 8 laps to go, and they're only separated right now by less than half a second.
Caution's out. I'm just looking at Chris McCauley. This Chris McCauley, man, he is the unfortunate victim of that. He was caught sleeping.
And I'm not certain why this yellow flag came out.
Let's see, just taking a look here, just waiting to see. It might be, I'm just waiting to hear anything from officials. Perhaps Garcia may have jumped the start. I doubt it, but I'm just looking throughout the field trying to see if I can see anyone who was around here.
Yeah, I'm looking as well, and I'm not seeing anyone with an incident. Looking all the way back through the field, through 1 and 2, I'm not seeing anything, so I'm not sure why this caution was thrown.
Yeah, that was an admin thrown caution, so it could be for reasons. I'm sure officials will get back to us eventually. But for right now, that stacks him up again. But you got to think, hey, for Garcia, that trick may only work once.
Exactly. I mean, did he just overplay his hand? So Garcia, Drake, Gutta, McCauley, and Sweat, they right now are in the top 5 positions.
Oh, we just got clarification. So right now, Garcia, actually, they called the caution because Garcia went before the initial start, I believe. So it looks like they just ended up calling a restart and resetting again.
Oh, okay. That would make sense. All right, so, yeah, we were kind of thinking, man, he went just about before the front tires of the pace truck hit pit lane. So if he's going to do that again, he might have to wait just maybe a half second more.
But boy, he shot out like a bullet.
He did. He definitely did. And now he's going to have Kenneth Drake to his outside, and Drake was able to stick with him on that last restart. He was not caught off guard. Now we're going to have to see if he'll be able to stick with the 114 here on this restart. And as we saw back, at least in the first heat race, that outside line seems to be a little bit more preferred in terms of straightaway speed.
And you got to remember, you can't show all your tricks here in the heats. It's only so often you can keep doing so, and the other drivers will start catching on.
Ooh, things got wadded up there with
McCauley.
Yeah, as well as Gutta. He was holding up McCauley. Tony Lucarelli way up the track. Whoa! Man, I think Gutta kind of testing the parameters of the track as his left front nearly caught the pit wall.
I'm noticing Drake and Garcia way up the track. That's opened up the door for James here on the bottom.
Now that inside line taken away, at least for the moment. He's going to get alongside of Drake, though. Almost 3 wide coming off of turn 4. Now we're 3 wide into turn 1.
And see, Drake did a really smart job there of just trying to pinch Gutta all the way down to the inside. He's still doing it.
Did you say pinch? That's not a pinch. That is
Listen,
a force.
There's only so many times you can keep doing that before that outside lane, where probably that inside lane says, oh, we had enough.
No.
Oh!
Gutta got the wall. Spins in front of Drake up into the outside wall. Caution's going to fly with 3 laps remaining.
I mean, we knew something was going to happen. We just didn't know
Yeah.
who it was going to be.
Oh, man. These guys racing tooth and nail. That was a fun battle to actually watch there. That 3-wide formation a couple of times for the race lead. And now Joe Garcia looks around and says, hey, what just happened? I was third just a moment ago. Now I'm back up front.
You gotta think a lot of these guys are they're kind of riding along. Obviously, you've got the guys who are just trying to learn the track, just trying to get comfortable with it for that long 50-lap run. But there's guys in the front of the pack that say, hey, I can win this.
Here's the thing that I'm wondering, because this is the second time we've seen a driver enter just a little too low into turn 1. We got 50 laps coming up here with a checkered flag on the line. I mean, these drivers, obviously, they're testing the limits right now, but I wonder just how anxious they're going to be to try and run that low when we get to the main event.
It's kind of that delicate line of pushing the limits, but I mean, this is really the first heat where we've seen the Rave attack the wall almost.
So we're waiting for the green flag to come out. It'll actually be, I believe, it will be 3 laps to go when we do get back green flag racing. We're still working the heat races here to determine the main event. This is the third and final heat race, and then we will have the consolation race coming up afterwards. It'll be a 12-lap consolation race before we will officially know the starting lineup for our 50-lap main event later on this evening. Joe Garcia continues to show the way, and it looks like they may be going single file restart here to finish out this third and final heat.
Right now, I haven't seen anything in session to change such. So I believe maybe the inside line will have penalties.
We'll see as Garcia up on the top. He's going to shoot away from Kenneth Drake and leave him wadded up 3 wide behind them with the 41, 58, and 28.
Drake just did not get a good start off of that. He just bunched up that entire inside line.
Oh, contact there between McCulley and Lucarelli as they were 3 wide underneath of Chris Sweat, who has now moved into 3rd place. Nope, check that. Now it's going to be McCauley up to 3rd place. Now they're going to be 3 wide for 3rd place here between these 3 drivers. They can't decide who's going to be P3.
Right now, Garcia is just checking out. He's trying to put a good enough gap on the rest of the field where he just doesn't have to get involved in this mess.
And he's taking the white flag here in this heat. He enjoys 0.6 of a second.
2 by 2 back there.
My goodness, McCauley, Sweat, Lucarelli, James Gutta, all in this mix. Gutta trying to transfer it. Oh, McCullough, contact. Lucarelli's going to get by.
Oh, no.
And Lucarelli sideways is going to get the 5th and final spot behind Chris Sweat. McCauley, Drake, and Joe Garcia are winner of this 3rd heat.
I don't know if McCauley was too happy with that.
No, I don't think so. I think you don't want to make enemies here as well in the heat races. You don't want that transferring over to the main event.
Yeah, I mean, it's all fun and games until, hey, it's lap 10 and you got someone on your bumper.
So 21 drivers were scheduled to take the green flag here tonight in the main event. 15 of them have now transferred. The remaining 6 are going to get set here for this 12-lap consolation. Actually, looks like only 4 out of the 6 will be in the consolation race. Jeff Gross, David Harvey, Chris McCauley, and Bobby Puckett. Of course, these 4 will partake in the main event, but this is pretty much determining where they're going to be starting in positions 16 through 20.
And just looking throughout the field, Harvey was someone that I really noticed with a lot of speed. I don't know if he could have maintained it in a long run due to that kind of that flip on lap 1. So it'd be kind of interesting to see if he can still maintain that.
Yeah, it was kind of deceiving for me because, as I said, back when he had his flip, it looked like he was going to still be able to continue on. Didn't really see a lot of visible damage. I thought he was going to be okay, and he was never able to get himself up into a transfer spot in the final few laps of that heat race. So these big block modifieds might be a little bit deceiving in terms of how much damage they really sustain, despite looking like they're actually still up to speed and still competitive.
And again, Seth said this from the very beginning, but all drivers from this consolation race makes it in.
This is actually going to be the longest of the heats, if you will, here tonight. The drivers took to the first 3 heat races with 10 laps, 12 laps here in the consolation. These extra 12 laps give these drivers a little bit more of an added edge in terms of what to expect from the track, you think?
I mean, right now they may be experiencing a little bit more worn down of a track, a little bit more used track, as you see, looks like Chris McCauley back there had contacted the inside wall on start.
He tried to drive it in deep, and as we've seen already here tonight, that inside wall is there to get your left front. As Jeff Gross led us to the green, but it's going to be David Harvey swinging around the outside. He's going to go to the point, and this is interesting too. All right, I'm going to also just throw this out here. David Harvey, as we said, didn't look like he was really up to speed after his slip in the heat race. But let's also remember he spent most of that final run of that heat up on the top side, like we're seeing him right now. Could have been experimenting. He knew he was going to make it into the main event regardless, so maybe trying to figure out what type of grip there was up there later on into a run, which could be something he'd apply when we get to the main event. Might be one of those first drivers we see migrate up to the second or third lane.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of different strategies here. One guy I've got my eye on has to be McCauley. McCauley's been pretty much staying steadfast to that bottom lane. I have seen him lose a little bit, but I've seen him gain so much more, especially off what you see of Harvey and also Puckett up there.
He just gained 3 car lengths off of turn 2 to turn 3. So I guess it's
he's
all
not even
about
losing on exit.
No, he's not. All about throttle control, and when you get back into the throttle, and he is doing it masterfully, he might actually take the race lead on this lap. Let's see if he can get alongside of David Harvey going into turn 3.
And you know the rest of the drivers have to be watching this and just saying, that bottom line has something going for it.
Harvey now has been able to pull away by about half a second. Ooh, is there contact there between McCauley and Puckett? There might have been.
McCauley might have either touched the wall or just kind of parked in the middle of the corner, and unfortunately Puckett just kind of ran into the back.
And that's going to, bring the 9 of Jeff Gross almost literally into his driver's side door.
And right now McCauley is still trying to hunt down Harvey over here.
Still got 5.5 laps to work with as he still remains committed to that inside line. Harvey almost right up against the wall a couple of times through 3 and 4. And that gap is closing yet again. The 58 back on the charge.
Yeah, it's worth noting when Harvey was trying to at least increase his lead, he was going from the top of the track all the way on the back straightaway to arcing down. He no longer really has that ability to arc down, or at least he doesn't feel like he has that ability. So I'm wondering if that's either hurting his speed, hurting his times. Obviously, it's getting him a little bit of better exit out of the corner, but just by how much?
He's running a little bit lower than he normally has been. Lets it drift from the middle lane almost to the outside wall. So he has changed up his entrance into the corner and then rim rides through 3 and 4. The gap still remains about half a second between Harvey and McCauley. So unless McCauley is able to find something here in these final 2.5 laps, looks like David Harvey would be starting 16th for the main event. But with the racing we're seeing right now at the 17 and the 58, I'm telling you what, I'm looking forward to watching these drivers try and work their way through the field.
Absolutely, and I'm just watching McCauley the last few laps, and he's almost looked like he tried to start migrating up to the middle line, but he's having the same issues that he did when he started using the bottom line, where he just almost parks it in the middle of the corner and just can't rotate the car. And that's his biggest issue right now, is he can't get it to rotate, at least on all the corners, consistently.
White flag in the air for this consolation race. David Harvey still opening up the gap between himself and Chris McCauley. McCauley may have had his last gasp there, as off turn 4, David Harvey will be starting 16th in the main event. McCauley 17th, Bobby Puckett 18th, and Jeff Gross in 19th place. And that is your starting lineup now official for tonight's 50-lap event, the first race of the season for the TNR Master Millwright Big Block Series.
And we're going to jump right into the feature here. And just that little taste of 12 laps is just showing what only 4 cars on the track and how hard they were battling. You've got to think, hey, we're about going to line up about 20, 21 cars in the field. So we're going to have those battles all over the field.
We definitely are. Again, just to remind everybody, the 50 laps must be under green flag conditions. Any cautions that come out, those pacing laps under yellow will not count. And we're going to have, it looks like, we're still waiting to see about a couple of drivers that were scheduled to actually take the green flag, took part in their heats. James Gutta in the 5 and Nathan Aldridge in the 51. We have not seen Lupe Gonzalez get onto the track so far here tonight. There is James Gutta, who is going to be the pole sitter alongside of Thomas Oleski. And still waiting on that 51 car. If the 51 does not get on the track, it looks like it's going to be 18 cars. That's exactly what it'll be. 18 cars that will be in tonight's 50-lap main event feature.
I'm just looking throughout the field. I'm trying to figure out who I want to cast commentator's curse on. Honestly, I was looking at Harvey's run there, and Harvey may have something. He's definitely not the fastest car in single car runs, but at least over a long gap of time, or at least the longest gap of time we saw was 12 laps. I mean, he seemed like he was able to string together very consistent laps.
Well, if you want to pick somebody that you know is going to be aggressive on the restarts, why not that 69 of Bobby Trapper, who I actually now can remember is in the field. He's going to be starting back there in the 11th position. He'll be on the inside line, so if you're looking for someone to take it 3 wide early going to turn 1, look no further than Bobby Trapper.
I kind of like his mentality. I mean, just sling it on in there, hope she sticks. And, I mean, she's stuck every time currently. You don't know what's going to happen the first time she doesn't, so...
And this is the first race of the season, too. This is going to start your road towards the championship, so it's a clean slate. Why not take those risks here? If it doesn't work out, you just go to Kokomo next week, and if you haven't had a good run, you keep it going. If you had a bad run, you try and counter that.
I mean, you don't want to start off your season on your roof. That doesn't set a good precedent, but obviously there's no telling that you could easily come back. Ooh!
We didn't even get to the start-finish line. There's already contact for the race lead there as Oleski and Gutta dooring each other to the start-finish line, and Oleski is going to pull ahead with the top position.
See, I was looking back there. I always saw Macaulay being put into the wall, but it looks like Lucieri.
And 3 wide for third.
Oh.
That is Billy Thornton,
Brent
Sweet, and Chris Sweat. Oh my goodness, they're keeping it together for the time being. 3 wide, 2, 3 rows back. That was 4 wide there. That was Jordan Erickson shooting up the middle, picking up a couple of spots.
Everyone's kept it together amazingly. I mean, look at this, 2, 3 wide all throughout the field. There's some guys going even 4 wide. Jeez, everyone's like a rocket ship here.
And I'm shocked that they're being able to find the room to do this, especially coming off the corner. There's plenty of space when you send it into the corner. The car can drift up and take it 3 and 4 wide, but it's like an accordion effect. Everything congests up off of the corner, and still they manage to keep it green. We're keeping it back here in this battle around the 10th, 11th, 12th position. This is where all the fun is, but up at the front, we've had ourselves a lead change. James Gutta just took the lead from Billy Thornton, who had taken the lead from Thomas Oleski.
Man, I've been watching Garcia just carve his way up this pack. He's been taking people 3, 4 wide, just trying to send it. Oh, he may have sent it on Brent Black there.
Almost got up into Brent Black and almost, I believe, also got the 904 of Don MacArthur as up front. It's going to be Gutta, Drake, and Thornton, the top 3. Now Thornton under fire from Bobby Trapper. That is for the 3rd spot. But again, we're going to drop back here to the Hornet's Nest. They are leaning on each other coming through the front straightaway, and somehow
they saved it.
Keep it up straight. I don't know how they did that.
I saw Oleski just swinging back and forth, just fishtailing. He gets it back under control, goes right back after him.
He had the 59 of Brent Sweet in his back bumper.
Oh no!
Oh, save it 41! Wow!
Let's get some more.
These guys, I don't know how they're being able to keep these cars going straight, but they are.
Ooh.
Oh, contact back there between the 41 of Lucarelli and Oleski.
Let me remind you, this is race 1.
Yes.
Race 1 is a 12 race season. Oh, Oleski! Oh, car wreck in front of him. Oh, Macaulay.
No, that's Macaulay in the 58. He gets hit by the 22 of Oleski and Jeff Gross in the 9.
I mean, we both saw it, and I don't think either of us wanted to admit it, but I mean, obviously the 41 and the 22 were just kind of going at each other, and I think that's kind of when it came to blows.
And we're all sitting here as well thinking, wait, it took them till lap 9 to have a caution with everything we just saw? Let's go back and see what happened to Macaulay.
That was the hardest racing I've seen for 10th place.
It's not even a qualifier. Everybody, you're already in the main event. It's fine. There's still a long ways to go.
Remember, this is a great way to start off your first impression to all of the field and saying, hey, look at me for first race. We're going for it.
Oh, talk about a party pooper. Inside wall caused that first caution because the 58 caught the inside with the left rear and then up and flying. I think that was the 20 of Jason Freeman that ended up hitting the 58.
I mean, they all. I'm just, I'm just kind of bewildered here. But obviously, seeing McCauley, we saw McCauley have that issue the entire kind of first run, that he was really attacking that inside wall, and it was kind of just a matter of time before he hit it. Looks like Oleski may have parked it already.
Yeah, we're riding on board here. Oh, I thought it was the 20 of Jason Freeman. Actually, it might have been Oleski, the car that went airborne. Not 100% certain, so that might be why Oleski's out of the race. I thought he was involved in a stack up, but I do know one car did go flying up into the air and actually landed on its roof.
Would you believe me if I told you it was Bobby Puckett?
Ah. Let's take a look here at the ramp that Bobby Puckett had here in the 40 machine. There he goes, up and into the air, and we've got to quickly go back because we've actually gone back green. I told you that these pace laps were short.
And still, everyone's still battling. It looks like they're giving a little bit more room this time, but definitely back there around the 10th position. Still 3 wide. Everyone's trying to get as much as they can.
Boy, Tony Lucarelli, he has been in the Hornet's nest all night long, it seems. Again, stuck in almost a 3-wide situation as Jordan Erickson looks high. He's got Don MacArthur behind him.
Joe Garcia looks like he may have just sent Billy Thornton just a little bit.
And it was actually the 114 that lost more ground out of that than anyone else.
Yeah, looking back.
Leaning on each other back there. That is Chris Sweat. And I think that was the 59 of Brent Sweet that got together.
Look at the guys in front of him. Look at Sweet. Sweet was getting pinched all the way down to the wall. Garcia!
Erickson. Almost hooking the 88 of Erickson up into the outside wall in the front straightaway.
So I'm quickly seeing a big problem here, which is that inside line where it looks like everyone's currently determined that inside line is a place to be, but there's a giant traffic jam on that inside line, and looks more push than shove trying to get around the bottom.
Well, I mean, like I said, it seemed to me that if you were going to make a pass on somebody, you had to muscle them out of the way. That's what's going on here. Everybody wants the same piece of real estate, and they're more than willing to use the proverbial chrome horn.
And everyone's still battling here. I just saw Kenneth break it.
Erickson sideways! I don't know if he kept it straight or not. No. Joe Garcia got him, and I think Brent Sweet might have gotten a little piece of it as well in the 59.
Yeah, it looks like just Garcia may have given a little bit of help to I'm trying to...
88 was almost completely sideways when I saw him. I don't know if he did get some help or if that was on his own.
Yeah, just a little bit of assistance.
Yeah, a little bit. Fortunately, though, everybody behind him, Garcia and Sweet, were able to get on the brakes.
I just looked at Sweet. Sweet didn't touch anyone. He just got on the brakes and hooked it.
Just stopped.
He said, man, I don't want to be part of this. He locked him up, just slid it straight on the track.
Hey, if it keeps you in the race. Looks like David Harvey is, well, he was on pit road for a good number of laps. He's right now -7 to the race leaders, back in the 18th position. He's returned back to the track. He'll pick up a spot in about 2 laps over Thomas Oleski, who is out of the race, but early issues there for David Harvey, who's had a very up and down night, so to say. Ended up flipping over in his initial heat race, and then he ended up winning the consolation race. Now finds himself with early trouble here in the main event feature.
Man, just kind of the skill of these guys. I mean, I've been looking. I looked back at that replay. Obviously, you had Brett Sweet turn the car, just trying to avoid hitting anyone, kind of parked it right in front of him. Another guy with a heads-up awareness move, and I mean, kind of, I think, saved both of their races, has to be Don MacArthur. I mean, he saw what was happening, kind of got in the brakes, got a little bit loose, but managed to angle the car away, pulled right on by him.
It is too, you know, with these type of cars, when you're carrying it 45 degrees into the corner, usually whichever line you commit to on corner entry is the line you're going to be exiting on corner exit. You can't really turn these cars on a dime, or else you're going to have that thing hooked up out into the steel guardrail and the outside walls. So There's been actually some really nice avoidance here tonight in our 2 cautions as the green flag back in the air. We're back to it. 35 laps to go here as, again, let's go back here to around the Billy Thornton machine because that's where they're walking 3 and 4 wide.
Freeman was leaning on the 41 of Luceri.
Ooh, almost contact there. Jason Freeman. And I believe that was Joe Garcia almost making contact. Whoa! That one I think may have gotten the wall up there. I think that might have been the 69 of Bobby Trapper as he's running pretty high there on the racetrack.
I'm just looking. A lot of these guys, it looks like Chris Sweat may have just sent it into the back of it. I think it was Don MacArthur.
Now it's looking nerve-wracking from a third-party standpoint. Let's see what the driver actually sees. We're going to ride on board with the 58 of Chris McCauley, and he drives it deep into the corner there on Don MacArthur. You see the 114 of Joe Garcia up there as well, double wide ahead. That is Lucarelli and Jason Freeman. Whoa, little contact right there, little bump and run, if you will.
Yeah, but that 20 and that 41's been kind of flirting this entire green flag run. Garcia really is using all of that track just trying to get up there.
Garcia trying to find a clean area of racetrack to make passes. Is he now going to get taken 3 wide up the middle? That's Jason Freeman. He's going to split Garcia and Lucarelli. And now they're going to make some more contact there between Garcia and Freeman off of 2.
Man, I'm going to tell you, that 114, 41, and 20 car around.
That's Brett Black in the 91.
Looks like Sweat was involved as well.
And now a little bit of a disagreement on who gets to get turned around first. Go back and see what happened to Brett Black. He was running up inside of the top 5. And we'll see. Looks like a little disagreement of space between himself and second place running Brian Rubble.
And he did a really good job of just trying to spin it there and just keeping it locked down out of harm's way. But unfortunately, Sweat was trying to avoid the accident as well, got knocked into him.
And actually, it was not the fault of the 4 car. He actually got a little hit from behind by Kenneth Drake. That sent him spinning down into the path of Brett Black. So actually 3 cars involved in that one to trigger the 91 spinning to the inside down off of turn 4. But I think the thing that's definitely a saving grace for a number of these drivers was the fact that he actually spun down almost to the pit road entrance. If he had spun in front of the field, that could have been catastrophic.
Absolutely. Just looking throughout this field, there still looks to be 15 cars turning laps around the track.
I believe you are correct. Yeah, David Harvey's actually gone back to pit road. Thought he was going to move up to 17th place, but he still has another lap to do that. If he does get back out on the racetrack, Bobby Puckett, who we saw upside down, he's been sitting on pit road, getting damage repaired, right now scored in 16th. So James Gutta, who so far has been out in front for the last 10 laps or so, he's going to lead us back to green with Bobby Trapper, Brian Rubble, Kenneth Drake, and Billy Thornton in the top 5. Apologies that we haven't really been focusing as much up at the top 5, but the 3 and 4 wide racing back in the middle of the pack has certainly gotten our attention.
Absolutely. And I feel bad for Gutta. I mean, he has been hauling and kind of just been trolling the field perfectly, but there's just been so much chaos going on.
Green flag back in the air here. 28 laps to go at Volusia. And Trapper, who was my pick to be...
Freeman in the wall.
And no caution yet. A little do-si-do there between Freeman and Chris Sweat as they're both going to keep it going. No caution going to come out for that incident, and there is the yellow flag now. Oh, that's because McCauley just spun.
Oh. And I think he may have been... Actually, I'm wondering if that may have been a hardware failure. Maybe he had a black flag he had to come serve.
He is on pit road. We'll first go back and look at the incident.
It was thrown for the car stopped in turn 1, so most likely it was kind of thrown from that instant over there.
That would be Freeman and Sweat, as we'll take a look at what happened to them. Freeman on the inside. Oh, again, that inside wall. Left front hooks that inside wall. The rear tires want to go. The left front is stopped, and it snaps the car around.
I mean, we've seen it multiple times here, and unfortunately, that's just another case of it. I mean, obviously, everyone kind of, at least at the moment, is really trying to attack that inside lane. So, obviously, there's going to be some issues here where cars are going to have a disagreement, or, hey, we're just asking for a little bit too much, and the track says, well, I mean, come here for a minute.
Now, it looks like you are correct. I think the 58 did come down pit road to serve some sort of a pass-through penalty. Made a late move onto pit road, didn't spin, and came down pit lane. So this caution actually saves Chris McCauley, who maybe had that penalty he had to serve, saw the caution was coming out, and said, well, I'll take the opportunity and serve it here under the caution while everybody's down there to 50 miles per hour under pacing.
I don't blame him. Smart move.
Absolutely. Keeps him on the lead lap, so 15 drivers still on the lead lap when we get ready to go back green, which is just about to be in a matter of moments as the light is out atop the pace car, and we are almost halfway through tonight's main event. And James Gutta, I have to wonder if he's liking seeing these cautions come out. He's been very good on the restarts, but at the same time, he'd love to be able to continue to grow his gap on a long green flag run.
Absolutely. There's it looks like Don MacArthur may have gotten a little bit of touching with Ericsson there in the 88.
And a car that has muscled his way through the field has been Joe Garcia, who sent it there, trying to get the fourth position on Brian Rubble. Now goes way up there.
4 wide.
That's going to be close off of turn 2 as Lucarelli looks to his inside. Billy Thornton going to drive it in deep and almost put it in the driver's side door of the 41.
He
does put it in the driver's side door of the 41.
Now, I just heard Garcia chime up on mic here just a little bit ago. Didn't exactly hear what he was saying, but he may have been a little bit displeased of how everyone was trying to clog up that top lane.
Well, as I said, everybody's going to be fighting for the bottom early, and then they're going to try and find that grip up on the top side, and things are going to get wadded up as, my goodness, Thornton and Lucarelli cannot get away from each other. They have had themselves hooked door to door for the last 3 or 4 laps, both wanting the inside line through turns 1 and 3 as battle for second place. That's going to be Kenneth Drake looking to the inside on Bobby Trapper, who's trying to get around the top side to take the lead away from James Gutta.
And Gutta has been almost flawless tonight. He has just been kind of riding, doing his own thing. Man, just one guy I saw slide into my view has to be Garcia. He is sending that thing in the corners.
Right now made his way up to the 5th position, about a second and a half behind the race leaders. And caution is out. It's Jason Freeman in the 20 car. He has had a tough night early on in this one. At least the 3rd incident he's been involved in so far.
Got caught on the fence, just a little bit of a flip there.
And now it's going to be interesting to see if Jason Freeman, with that flip, as we said, it's kind of a little bit deceiving in terms of the damage sustained on these late models, whether they're going to be up to speed or not. And let's take a look at the wild ride he takes into turn 1. Ooh, yeah. Almost contact there as well for the 9 of Jeff Gross, but I think he was able to just barely get by. What the 9 car saw. Watch up ahead here, going into turn 1, you'll see on the top side, 20 car get a little too high. And, whoo, that's close. That is close there for Jeff Gross, which as you saw, never stopped driving that thing. And that's one of the things that I love about these in-car cameras is a driver can be upside down and flipping, and they're still driving the wheel.
I'm going to tell you, these guys make these cars look a lot easier than they are. I mean, here's the thing, you see them do this, and you're just sitting back in your computer chair, you're like, man, I can do that. Get on iRacing, load up all the content, load up the track, try to replicate it, and next thing you know, you're in the inside wall.
I don't fit that category.
Well, unfortunately you don't, but yours truly has tried it a few times, and Unfortunately, just not cut out for dirt.
Oh man, closest I ever got to dirt racing was playing in my sandbox. Anyway, we're getting ready for
Sand
21
dunes?
laps. We're get-
No. I just played in the little ice cream tub and just made my cool little jumps.
That's right, exactly. Oh man, 21 laps to go here at Volusia as James Gunna gets us back underway. But there were a couple of drivers there on that last run that looked like they could be some challengers for the race lead. Bobby Trapper there, Kenneth Drake, and maybe the fastest car in the field in terms of how many cars he's had to pass here tonight. 5th place Joe Garcia.
I mean, Garcia has just kind of rotated that bottom, at least the bottom mid line, even the top line, just better than any car I've seen out here today.
One thing I've also noticed here, it's still, the battling is hot and heavy from about 5th on back, but we're not seeing the 3 wide, 2-3 rows deep that we saw earlier on in this race. So, I don't know, early portion of the season, first race, first half of the race, obviously you've got those pre-race jitters, you're just coming off of an off season, getting yourself prepared. So,
the Ruble.
We got a spinner. It's Brett Black,
3 cars.
Jeff Frost back there. McCauley's in that as well. And I believe all 3 of these drivers have been involved in at least another incident here tonight. And I almost wonder if maybe that's why we're end up seeing some of the same drivers get involved in wrecks. They get involved in an initial wreck, lose that track position, find themselves back in the Hornet's nest.
You just got to think. And I've seen Jason Freeman also has been given an EOL penalty for causing caution here.
Look at it over into turn 3, and just Ross in the 9 driving it in too deep, and McCauley coming in nowhere to go, making contact with Gross as Brett Black got away relatively unscathed. Yes, he did spin, but not a whole lot of contact for the 91. Again, though, we need to remind folks that Brett Black, he's mired back there in the 12th position, been involved in 2 incidents tonight. The first incident occurred when he was running up inside of the top 5. He's yet to get back up there.
Absolutely. I'm just looking at this field, and it's so hard to pick a favorite or pick a winner just because how well they've all been running. I mean, obviously, we've seen Gut has been kind of just dominating the race. We've had Garcia race his way up the field, but also Bobby Trapper, Kenneth Drake, Ruble. I mean, they've all been kind of just fighting and maintaining their positions. It's really hard to pick a favorite.
Well, the thing that I've been noticing here that's really surprised me is James Gutta has been very committed to that inside line. He's yet to really experiment with a middle or outside line, and I have a feeling his hand's going to be forced when we get closer to the end of this race. Bobby Trapper's been very good on the top side, Brian Ruble as well. We've seen Joe Garcia almost up into the steel guardrail. Somebody's going to find that grip that's still up there on that top side, and it's going to force the 5 to have to go up there in a defensive line. I'm really surprised he hasn't migrated up there and tried to see what's up there on that outside line in case he does have to play defense. I think he heard me. He's jumped up to the top side now here, trying to block Bobby Trapper.
You got to remember, it's all fun and games till you find grip in the worst place. 4 goes around.
And is a caution going to come out because we're 3 wide at the front with Drake, Trapper, and Gutta, who's going to edge ahead at the line. Does Gutta. Now the caution's out.
Trapper.
I think Trapper was ahead. Maybe not. I thought he was. At least visibly it looked like he was ahead, but scoring does say Gutta had it. Whoa, look out. 91 right in front of the leaders.
And if you're wondering why caution was called, that is the reason.
Just going to throw this out here. One of these guys, I know they're up here in the top 5, have good cars. One of those guys could have been a good Samaritan and flipped the 91 back over, but nope, nobody volunteered. Take a look and see here what happened to that 91 of Brett Black, who's been involved in now back-to-back cautions. 3 wide up ahead of him, heading into turn 3, and we just got flat run over. Chris Sweat never lifted, drove straight into him, and is that the 4? That is the 4 of Brian Ruble. What happened to him? Because he was running up inside of the top 5. We got to go back and see what happened to him because there may have been 2 incidents that culminated in the same area of the racetrack. Oh, it's exactly what happened. there was a wreck that happened up ahead, and it involved Rubel as well as the 904 of Don MacArthur. Watch this. Oh, Rubel got into the wall, coming off of 2. Came across the nose of MacArthur. And then a little contact as well for Jason Freeman. And actually, I think that kind of plays into why Brett Black in the 91 got flipped over. He got on the brakes to avoid the incident ahead of him, and the 28 of Sweat didn't realize it and got into the back of him. So I think it was a wreck and then a follow-up wreck that led to the 91 flipping over. That's a tough break there for Brian Rubel, because that's going to drop him all the way back now to the 14th position on this restart. Going to be 16 laps to go when we go back green flag racing. Gutta continuing to show the way, but they were 3 wide for the lead when that caution came out. So Gutta has to be aware now that these drivers have figured out some of his weaknesses and some of their own strengths. Now it's 3 wide for second as Joe Garcia going to enter into this mix along with Jordan Erickson in the 88. He's going to take it 3 wide for third. Drake in the middle, he pushes up into Garcia, they make contact. Trapper's going to clear for second. He now drives it deep, look at the outside of James Gutta. They're still 3 wide, almost 4 wide for second place coming off of turn 2. Starting to look like the first few laps of this race when we were 3 wide several rows deep and 4 wide on occasion as Lucarelli gets into the back of Erickson. Now the battle's on for the lead. Turner jumps to the top side. Garcia looking to the middle. And Gutta down on the bottom. They're going to take this battle into turn 3. Outside line should get the preferred run off of turn 4. Trapper is clear. He will go to the point for the first time tonight. Gutta still trying to get the inside line going. Garcia behind, and he's got Kenneth Drake in the back of his car going into turn 3. Gutta gets such a great entry into the corner, but he can't follow it up off corner exit. Almost contacted himself and Garcia for second place. Whoa, Erickson getting loose there. Might have had some contact to himself and Lucarelli in the battle for fifth. They keep it together for the time being. As now single file for the top 2. Battle on for third. James Gutta continues to run the inside line. It's just not working for him. I'm not sure why he's staying down there. He's got to jump up to the top. That's where the grip is now as we close in on 10 laps to go. It's a huge gap from the top 4 now back to 5th place, which Jordan Erickson holds over Lucarelli. Contact behind them between Jason Freeman and Don MacArthur. And I think we've had an incident. We have. Caution's out. Billy Thornton has spun around off of turn 3 in the center of 3 and 4. And I believe Chris Sweat may have gotten a piece of it. And this will give us a restart now with less than 10 to go. Let's go back and see what happened to the 11 car. Looks like he got a little bit of help. 59 might have actually assisted him, of Brent Sweet. Almost sent him up into MacArthur, and then, McCulley almost got a piece of it there, as did the 9 of Jeff Gross, but they were able to avoid, so yellow flag flies for the 8th time here tonight, which means on average we've had a caution every 5 laps here in this main event. And we may not have seen our last one yet, because now we're down to crunch time. If you're going to make a move for this win, you're probably going to start making it now when the green flag drops. Bobby Trapper, the leader. Joe Garcia, after all that, has been able to work his way up to 2nd. He has undoubtedly passed the most cars here tonight. Kenneth Drake is 3rd. James Gutta now drops back to 4th after he led most of the laps here tonight. And Jordan Erickson still in the hunt. He's in 5th with Tony Lucarelli, Don MacArthur, Brent Sweet, Jason Freeman, and Brian Rubel. Now the top 10. Looks like there'll be 13 cars on the lead lap when we go back green. Chris Sweat is right now a lap down and still on pit road, 14th place. Brent Black, 8 laps down, still on pit road in 15th. Bobby Puckett is 32 laps down. I don't think he'll make it to the conclusion of this race. He's 16th. David Harvey is back on the racetrack. He's about to actually, if he completes one more lap, he will pass Thomas Oleski for 17th place. Oleski will finish 18th with Nathan Aldridge, Lupe Gonzalez, and Garrett Gleason. The rest of the field, the 51, 35, and 7, 19th through 21st, did not even take the green flag to start this race. Single file restart here with 9 laps to go. Who is going to win the season opener here at Volusia for the TNR Master Millwright Big Block Series? Green flag back in the air. Trapper pulling away about 2 car lengths back to Joe Garcia. There's contact behind them. James Gutta got forced almost up to the outside wall courtesy of Tony Lucarelli, who now goes side by side for 4th with Jordan Erickson. Erickson's going to push up. He makes contact with the 41. Puts Lucarelli into the wall. Gutta's going to slide by. Don MacArthur makes contact trying to get by. You got Brent Sweet in the mix of this as well. They were almost 4 wide again through 1 and 2. They keep it together for the time being as, Gutta had his hands full with Don MacArthur driving it in deep, trying to pull off a slide job. Erickson now looks ahead towards the top 3 who find themselves single file. 3 car lengths from Trapper back to Garcia. Another 3 car lengths back from Garcia to Kenneth Drake. 6 laps to go. Can we finish these 6 laps under the green flag? Well, we will finish them under the green flag. The question is, will there be a caution in between them and the checkered flag is probably the better question to ask. Looking at lap times right now, Trapper is about a 1/10 of a second faster than Joe Garcia. That last time by, he was only 3/100ths faster, but still maintaining the gap between himself and the 114. And again, remember, Bobby Trapper was one of the first drivers to really jump up to the top side, up in the side of the top 5. So he had the experience and the momentum of what that top side can do in the closing stages. We'll see if it will be enough to hold off a hard-charging Joe Garcia, who that last time by was a 1/10 quicker, now closes the gap to less than 3/10 of a second. It's going to be 3 laps to go this next time around. They're still racing tooth and nail behind him. James Gutta, Don MacArthur, Jason Freeman, they're in a tussle for 5th place. Behind them, 7th place under contest with Rubel, Sweet, and Lucarelli. Also throw Billy Thompson into that mix. Whoa, Gutta just chopped off the nose of the 4, and he almost spun it around. He might actually get hit from behind. He saves it as Lucarelli was into the back of him. And it's 1.5 to go here at Volusia. They just got to get back to the white. Garcia drives it in deep. He's within striking distance. He's looking low off turn 4. White flag in the air. Trapper on the top. Garcia on the bottom. Slide job through 1 and 2. Trapper looks to cross over. They'll be side by side. Coming through 3 and 4. Trapper drives it deep. Garcia looks to cross him over. Here they come to the start-finish line. It's Bobby Trapper winning the season opener here at Volusia. He'll capture the first checkered flag of the spring 2021 season in the TNR Master Millwright Big Block Series. And maybe for the first time the commentator's curse got broken. I picked Trapper. I didn't jinx him. We'll see if these big blocks can do burnouts here. And yes, they can. Look at that. Burnout right there as early as turn 4 for tonight's race winner, Bobby Trapper, as he's going to be celebrating in victory lane here tonight at Volusia. Let's take a look at the finishing results from tonight's event before we get ourselves prepared for some post-race interviews. Joe Garcia, what a battle he had tonight. Fought his way up to finish 2nd. Almost won this race. That was a great battle in the final 2 laps between himself and the 69. Kenneth Drake, a mainstay in the top 3 all night. He'll complete the podium. Jordan Erickson in 4th. Great comeback run for Brian Rubel. After his issue in the second half of this race, was able to fight his way from 12th to finish top 5 and 5th. Don MacArthur was 6th. Jason Freeman, another driver who had early issues, finished 7th. James Gutta, who led the early portions of this race, dropped back to 8th. Billy Thornton was 9th, and Brent Sweet was able to complete the top 10. 11th place was Tony Lucarelli. Last drivers finished on the lead lap were Jeff Cross and Chris McCulley, 12th and 13th. Rest of the drivers finished multiple laps down or out of the race, with Chris Sweat, Brett Black, David Harvey, Thomas Oleski, and Bobby Puckett. 19th on down, did not even take the green flag to start this race. Those drivers will all look to rebound next week in the 35 lapper at Kokomo Speedway. But now let's go down and see if we can get an interview with our third place finisher, the driver of the number 71. And it looks like we may not be able to get Kenneth Drake for an interview. So let's see who we can actually get for an interview here tonight. Looks like we may actually have to go down to Victory Lane already and talk with Bobby Trapper. So let's do just that. Hey, Bobby, it's Seth up here in the FRM booth. You got me?
Yeah, I can hear you, man. How's it going?
Oh, great. Man, what a battle here tonight for you. We saw you were one of the first drivers to actually migrate up to that top side. What, if anything, did that help you in terms of knowing what this track was going to do in the closing stages and holding off that 114?
Yeah, I think I just got lucky that I had to restart on the outside one of those laps. Otherwise, I would have stayed on the bottom a lot longer. But I figured better just try and figure out something to work up top. And lucky for me, the track just slowly worked up that way.
We saw from start to finish, those restarts were absolutely insane. A lot of drivers wanting the same piece of real estate. Did you have a strategy in your head on those final two laps between yourself and Garcia for that win, or was it kind of a play it by ear and a situational thing?
Yeah, I mean, no mirrors, nothing. I didn't really know if someone was close to me or not, but I just sort of kept my car straight and just prepared for the slide job. I kind of figured it was coming. I felt like I didn't hit the best 5 laps there, so I figured they had to be close behind. So once the slide job came, I just wanted to make sure I was able to set it up and get some bite to come back underneath them and see what happens.
But we know as soon as you drivers strap the helmets on, the goal is to go out there and win. But with this being the first race of the season, is there less pressure because it's a clean slate, everybody on a level playing field in terms of points because none of you have any yet? Or does it actually put more pressure on you that you want to go out there and you want to start the season out strong?
I think me personally, I just want to go out there and have fun and keep the car together and run all 50 laps. And if we got that, I think most people are probably about the same way, and everyone just wants to go out and have a good time.
Well, Bobby, congratulations on a job well done, fighting your way up there through the top 5 to the race lead and never looking back, being the first one to cross the start-finish line, get the first checkered flag of the season. We're going to give the opportunity now to do some shout-outs and some thank yous.
Oh, yeah, I just want to shout out to Garrett and Jason Freeman and Brian Rubel and everyone that's hosting the series and running it, and you guys for doing the broadcast, and I guess iRacing for finally getting these modifieds in the game. It's been a blast.
That's Bobby Trapper. He gets to continue to celebrate tonight in Victory Lane at Volusia. Congratulations there, Bobby. We look forward to seeing if maybe it can go back-to-back to start out the season next week at Kokomo.
Yeah, I think it'll definitely be a fun racing, and I appreciate you guys. Have a good night.
And it doesn't look like, at least for the time being, that we're able to get our second place finisher. We do have our third place finisher on standby, though, and that's Kenneth Drake. Hey, Kenneth, it's Seth up here in the FRM booth. You got me? Well, man, we saw a lot of drivers move up to the front, drop to the back. Your car never did either. Stayed stationary right up there inside the top 3 all night long. If those two had gotten to racing a little bit earlier, do you think you had time to get up there, make it a 3-man fight, maybe snipe this checkered flag away from them?
I don't think I had much for them at the end there. They just walked the dog on me at the end. I was better on the bottom when the bottom was good, and when the top came around, I was just along for the ride at that point in time.
Now, Matt and I, we were in awe of you guys here in the first starting laps of that race. 9 laps in, we saw 3 wide, several rows deep, and that just continued on with restart after restart. On a couple occasions, we even saw your 71 stuck in the middle 3 wide. I mean, we know that Volusia widens when you get into the corner, but it certainly congests on the straightaway. How difficult is it to race these cars 3 and 4 wide?
I mean, you just got to be real patient. I mean, in the middle of there, I got into the 4 car, and I want to apologize for that. He missed the bottom, and I was riding through the middle, but it just tightens up right there on the straightaway. You either have to be double file or single file. If not, somebody's going to end up in the fence.
We know that obviously with the way dirt tracks work, everybody's fighting to find that little bit of extra added grip. I saw a lot of drivers towards the middle portion of the race, as we expected, migrate up there to the top side. How soon did you start experimenting with that outside line to see if there was any added grip and speed to be found?
Early on, I tried the top, and then I just went back to the bottom to ride around, hoping it would stay around. And then I tried the middle, but I was just way too late getting to the top. When the top was good, I was already falling backwards a little bit.
You know, one thing I always like to ask drivers when we have these type of races, because obviously you guys have those qualifying heats before you get to the main event, do those qualifying heats help you in terms of experience and getting to know what the track's going to be like when you get to the main event, or is it just all about focusing for the best qualifying starting spot?
It depends. If you got a late heat race, you can kind of gauge probably for how the middle of the race is going to go, but most of the time it's just keeping your nose clean and making sure you get in a transfer spot and maybe hopefully an invert spot.
Well, Kenneth, congratulations on a job well done here tonight. Third place finish, great way to start off your season. And now we're going to give you the opportunity for some thank you sponsors and shout outs. We may have lost Kenneth. Okay, still got me? Looks like we might have possibly lost Kenneth here.
Over.
There we go. Oh, yep, you're good. You're good. Thought we would give you an opportunity here for some sponsors, shout-outs, and thank yous.
Paint the car next week, and we'll have some sponsors on it. I ran out of time to get the car painted this week, but thanks everybody for helping me out in the group we have, and thanks for the league tonight. Was an absolute blast. I will say that. I mean, you had 3 wide racing from the front to the back. You know, I don't think you could ask anything better for your first night.
No doubt about it. Fun race to watch. Congratulations on a strong performance here tonight, and good luck next week at Kokomo. And it looks like we will indeed not be able to get a word with our second place finisher, Joe Garcia. Would have loved to have gotten an idea of what it was like in these late models, trying to work your way up through the field in what were those 3 and 4 wide formations. But nonetheless, tonight belongs to Bobby Trapper, as he's the winner of the season opener for the Total Nonstop Racing Master Millwright Big Block Series, as he gets to celebrate in the Volusia 50 at Volusia Speedway Park. Next week, they will be heading to Kokomo Speedway for 30 laps. We'll be having coverage of the qualifying, consolation, and main event race, and that will be taking place next Tuesday night. Green flag scheduled to fly at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you all for tuning into tonight's event. If you haven't had your fill of racing, Flatout Racing Network also covering here tonight a special truck series event at Bristol Dirt for the G-Force Racing Series. Matthew Rodriguez and Anthony McCurry on the call, and they have that going on right now, so head on over and check that out. But thanks to Matt Rod for joining me here tonight in the booth. I know he had to scurry over there to the other broadcast, but appreciate him joining me here for most of tonight's event here at Volusia. Thank you to all of you that tuned in tonight. Hope you enjoyed our coverage, and see you next Tuesday night. As for Matthew Rodriguez, I'm Seth Cole. Have a good evening here, and we will see you guys next week as you've been watching another broadcast courtesy of the Flatout Racing Network.
This broadcast is the copyrighted work of Flatout Racing Network and may not be rebroadcast, retranslated, or used in any form without the express written consent of Flatout Racing Network and iRacing.com Motorsports Simulations. Flatout Racing Network would like to thank you for your support, and we hope you enjoyed tonight's broadcast.